Welcome back to Studio Chatter. Now that we are into full holiday mode, let's talk about the food. Welcome Chelsea Lords from Chelsea's Messy Apron to the Chatter. Welcome back.
Thanks for having me back.
And the studio doesn't know, but before we started, we were all over taking pictures of the food.
Because it's gorgeous food.
It's gorgeous.
Well, thank you.
I mean, it's gorgeous.
Thank you.
Wow.
Is that like a fun element of you being a food blogger, is like the beauty, the presentation at the end, or do you like what? Or
Yeah,
what do you,
I mean, it's one of my favorite parts. Like it's part of like the creative process. So making food beautiful and then like photographing it and editing it, it's a lot of work and it's really challenging. Maybe not like the most natural thing for me, but it's also really fun because it pushes me. It helps me be creative. I feel like, you know, I'm actually creating art with the food. So it's
It really
fun.
is art.
I mean,
It really is
yeah,
art.
it can be. A lot of photos don't turn out how I want them to. They're not very artistic.
It looks so great here.
It looks great here, but not here. So, but yeah, it is a fun part of the creation process.
But don't you think food tastes better when it looks pretty or
Well, I mean, like
nice,
you eat with your
maybe?
eyes first, right?
Right,
So
yeah.
everything you see, like if it's presented prettier, you're gonna automatically think this is gonna taste better. So garnishes, you know, pops of color, they go a long way when you're serving food.
so do you have a favorite stage in the process of cooking?
The actual creation of a recipe. So when I think probably like the initial planning and like trying to think, you know, what flavors, what elements will go together. That's probably like my favorite part.
Okay.
And then
See,
kind of, you know,
that's
making
so
it come
scary.
to life. That's what's fun for me.
That scares me.
Oh yeah.
Like to just be like a little ginger.
Oh, I have no idea.
Oh, a little flour.
I'm like, it says half a teaspoon of salt. I'm not going to do any less or any more and not add anything else.
No, yeah, that would scare me to actually create a recipe. I mean, me, let alone cooking the recipe, but like actually creating like a brand new one, I can't even imagine like that.
Well, that's my favorite part. But
So what about holiday food? I mean, there has to be something about holiday food that you really, really enjoy. Is there one element or something that you really like better than another?
I mean, not to sound cheesy, but like holiday food, it's about the memories. Like for me, it's all, you know, it's bringing family together, it's bringing friends together, and it's, you know, uniting over really great food. And that's to me what the holidays are, like Thanksgiving, Christmas, any of these big holidays. We really, as soon as we think about them, we think about, you know, the family gathering and what we're going to eat. And so I think, yeah, the menu. So it's just, that's the fun part. You just think of, I think food can instantly bring you back to a memory, to a conversation with a loved one, and it just brings you back to maybe cooking with grandma or your mom in the kitchen. And so to me, like that's what holiday food brings together, is just good memories, like a lot of love, and it's just so fun to create that and create those memories with your family, your friends.
You make it sound super important to involve your family while baking during the holidays. That's an important element, to involve the kids or the teenagers, like come in the kitchen and let's do it together, rather than just you doing it all by yourself and then
And it's not as easy as it sounds. It's not very picture perfect, like cooking with kids, but I'm so glad my mom did it. Like those are my favorite memories, is baking with my mom for Christmas time. She didn't like love to cook, but she was a big baker. And so all of my like Christmas memories, all my holiday memories are making treats with mom. And so I have to like remember, like I have all these good memories. And so as I try it with my kids, I just have to remember like it's tricky and it's difficult and there's a lot of casualties of things getting ruined, but you know, it's all about the memories and
not about it being perfect.
It's not about it being perfect,
except for if we need to do one for a picture.
but then the kids aren't involved in that. But
now step away, children. Go take a bath.
Or you know, you leave other cookies for them to decorate.
Totally.
Yep.
Those don't
There you go.
Make it into the pictures.
Is there something now that when you're involved that they say you have to make whatever it is? Is there your specialty that's always like, you must make
Thanksgiving dinner?
Yes.
Funny enough, my dressing recipe.
Okay.
Dressing, stuffing, depending on where you're from and what it's called, that is kind of become like my signature dish, I guess. So
okay.
It's actually really, really simple, just a lot of fresh herbs and onion, celery, and good bread.
So you don't use stovetop.
No.
And spike it up with some celery and onion.
No.
But there's nothing wrong with doing that.
No, I am all for shortcuts. Like with holiday meals, you just can't do it all.
Right.
And that's why there's products, and that's why there's companies that create these things.
But yeah, your signature that you spend time with that.
And I think, if you have something like a side dish that takes a little bit more time, like that's okay if you do shortcuts for the other things, but if it's like your signature thing, it's kind of fun to make it from scratch and to create something that's a little unique.
Tell us what you've made here. This looks delicious.
All right, so this is an apple pie, and my husband's favorite dessert actually in the whole world is apple pie. And so I have been making him this apple pie since we were dating. I had actually never made pie, and we started dating, and he's like, can you make me a pie? Like, you like to bake and stuff. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like I don't even like pie. No, I don't know how to make a pie. And so it became like my mission to perfect an apple pie for him. And so I feel like this recipe has been, 10 years in the making. So it's taken me a long time.
Yeah, it looks perfect.
Because he's like very, particular. It's his favorite dessert. So, and he says this is his favorite apple pie. So.
And it's beautiful. Like from here, I can see like the sugar.
Oh, well, you're nice.
And the crust is like perfectly brown. Like you could just imagine what it's going to feel and taste like.
It's like a lot of practice. So that's like his, this is his holiday dessert. I guess that's a must-have at the holidays.
Okay.
And then over here, we've got some salted caramel cheesecake cookies. So I kind of like, that's one of my favorite desserts, and I channeled that dessert into a cookie. So we've got like a graham cracker cookie base.
Wow.
And then a cream cheese frosting with some mascarpone cheese, and then a salted caramel drizzle, just like a caramel on top.
That looks amazing.
And these are one of my favorite cookies. They're a little bit like involved, but if you're doing like a cookie exchange, maybe next year, or like a cookie party or something like that, like these are like a show-stopping, really fun treat it's like a very unique cookie, I guess. And then these are pumpkin scones, and some have the cream cheese frosting, and then just like a maple glaze. And
those look my mouth is watering.
I would pray to get your name in the cookie exchange, and you would be like, please don't get Natasha.
No.
And then
get the store-bought cookie.
Skipping.
Right. And there's your cookies. These are gorgeous.
Oh,
wow,
thank
that's such an amazing talent.
Chelsea, I refer to your blog regularly when I cook. So I have a question for you.
Yes.
A lot of your cookie recipes will say melt the butter and then bring it back to room temperature. And that's the first time I've ever seen that. I've always seen take it out of the fridge and get your butter to room temperature. So why do you have us melt it and then bring it back to room temperature?
Right. Yeah, so this is kind of like I call it like my secret for cookies. Cookies are like my favorite treat. And so for most of my cookie recipes, melt the butter, and like you said, bring it back to room temperature. And so melting the butter is going to give you like a really soft, chewy cookie. When you cream the butter with sugar, it kind of like it beats in air, and it's going to make like a fluffier, just a different consistency. Okay. And so when you melt the butter, you're going to get like a really chewy, sweet cookie. Just kind of more concentrated. And the reason we don't add the hot melted butter into the other ingredients is because when you have hot butter and you mix it with sugar, it's going to actually start melting that sugar and cause like a greasy cookie. And so it's a little bit of a particular part of this baking process for the cookies, but it really makes like, you've tried it. It makes a really chewy, good cookie.
So you don't want it warm at all.
You don't want it. Okay. I mean, even a little bit warm's okay, but if it's hot, it's going to start melting the butters. Okay. Before we want them. We want them melting in the oven, and so that's going to make it like greasy. So you'd have like a ring of grease, or your cookie will spread too much. So.
Okay. So when you have. Okay, I've been wanting to create a good cookie, but my cookies a lot of times will just get flat. Why is that?
So there's a lot of different reasons.
Okay,
first,
tell me a couple.
We're at a disadvantage where we have a high altitude. Okay. So we're in Utah. And second, it's most likely actually because your ingredients are too warm. Okay. So you want a cookie when it's going into the oven to be relatively cold or at least room temperature, because the oven's going to spread, melt that butter and make it spread. Okay. And so I think the best thing is honestly to chill the dough. So roll your cookie dough balls, what you're going to roll, and then put them in the fridge and have them going into the oven cold. And that should stop the spread. Okay. And another thing is if you roll your cookie dough balls a little bit higher instead of wider, it's going to if you think about it kind of being like more of a high cookie dough ball, it has more time to spread down instead of just like if you have a flat cookie dough ball, it's just going to spread.
So that's why you have that. Oh, wow. You guys, that's another thing about her blog is she gives you all these tips. Like you get a recipe book, right? And it just says, these are the ingredients, beat this, add this, put it in. But with hers, it's like, here's a
this
tip.
doesn't work.
And it's like tip after tip. I'm like, oh my gosh.
Because it's so frustrating when you're baking. Baking's such a science, and it's so precise, and it's so frustrating.
And it takes
when you
time
make
and
a
experimenting to figure
and
it
it
out.
doesn't work, it's so frustrating. And so I like to include all those tips and everything I've learned over years of testing.
You need
Right.
You need to taste it.
Oh, I don't even know which one I want.
No, it can make
This is really your
such a
favorite
difference.
I want
cookie
both.
ever.
I love. But
This is one of my
love
favorite cookies
salt.
ever.
Better
This
than
is-
your
this is
cinnamon
amazing.
roll?
My husband thinks so. So he'll have to let me know.
This is
It kind of
so
just
good.
depends on what you like, you know. I'm like a cheesecake person, so.
Oh, wow.
That's incredible.
Nice.
No more talking now.
Thank you.
Right. Yeah.
Chelsea.
That is amazing.
But what did you call
So
this
good.
cheese?
Mascarpone.
Which
So-
Never heard of that. Have you? Okay.
I have, but I don't know what
It
it
is
is.
so good. I think it's like a cream cheese, but a little bit less tangy and a little bit sweeter. I like it better than cream cheese, but I added both, so you still get that, that tang, but it's not as
But it's not
overwhelming.
as, yeah.
So
where did you find this
it's right next to cream cheeses and other
in our local stores?
in
You
the-
didn't have to go to
yes.
Italy for it?
No. Right at Walmart down the road. So.
At the local neighborhood Walmart,
Yes.
you found that.
I am telling you, this is delicious.
Thank you.
This is so good. I can see why
Thank
he
you.
would love this.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm in heaven.
Cheesecake
Yes, while
inspired.
we're in heaven, remind everybody where they can give you a follow.
So my website's chelseasmessyapron.com, and that links out to my social media, and all of these recipes are on the site. So
Chelsea, you're awesome.
You're amazing.
thank you.
Thank you for coming
You
back.
guys are so
Happy
nice to me.
holidays.
Food. Yeah, this is
Thank
amazing.
you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
There's more studio chatter coming up.